Hi, this is class number 3 for the online class, and this online class is, for those of you in the room here, Paths to Recovery After Abuse and Trauma, and this specific one is related to developing inner peace, right? And so we have just had a meditation related to how to create your own inner peace. I'm going to start this off by continuing to read a little excerpt from my novel, Quandaries and Queries, and talk about some more of the characters that are in the novel. See if you can pick up the experience here so that you can kind of ferret out some of the lessons. Remember, we talked about the 4 caves that Master Jung talks about. So here we go. These particular characters are Ty and Henry, and they're friends of Lisa and Helena. Hey, don't mess with my chi, Ty, Henry protested. Oh yeah, you're sounding like a Helena, bro. You have just about as much chi as Lisa. Boy, if anyone needed some good luck chi, it's Lisa. I've never seen such a progression of bad luck. And it's all happened in 1 month. Ty shook his head and wiped off his workout sweats from the F85 Soul treadmill. Fancy stuff, right? Bad luck? Oh, I don't know about that. She was collapsing her own body with monsters and lattes, all night dancing and boozing, and Wall Street hours. There's no way she was avoiding crashing like that eventually. Henry began his crunches and stopped talking. Can't believe Lisa's known Helena since kindergarten. Helena's a tough friend to keep up with, though. She's running daily, keto charging, meditating, using Morningstar navigating monies. Oh, damn. She's writing that book about prayer and science based on her thesis research. Great. Wow, man, I'm intimidated by Helena. Yeah, I know, but look at us. We met Helena and Lisa at Brasilla's a year ago, and we made some changes because Helena pushed us. Lisa could have done the same. I mean, she's known her since kindergarten. We're nothing special. We just took the leap and we started. Henry shifted from the crunches to his first 60-second plank. Ty paused his frog kicks. You think there is anything to Helena's talk about remote viewing and astral travel? That's cave number 4, by the way. It sounds so far-fetched, but man, she's had some spooky real results. Oh, geez, I don't know. Sounds crazy. But she's predicted the market dropping by 666 points a week ago because of her dream. Look what happened on Friday. That's exactly what happened. No one would have guessed. Wish I'd listened to her, especially after today's 1,175-point drop. Henry hoisted up his chin-ups. You think she wrote for the CBO volatility of CFRA. This is easier to read than to speak. But both of them were sweating and both of them were huffing, and they continued their 60-minute workout, and both were wondering why they had learned from Helena's hard work and workouts and encouragement, but Lisa never got on board with her own healing. Okay, so there's an example of individuals that decided, that's good advice. I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to actually act. I'm going to actually enact what I'm being taught. And a lot of what's being said on this online course or in this room is, okay, you're going to leave this room or you're going to stop this course, and really it's going to be all about you taking action. For the online course, it's about doing the knowledge gain and the self-reflection and then the meditations and then going back and practicing them again and moving forward and then going back and picking those things that you want and really working the process of your own recovery, and then possibly getting more assistance outside of the online course by psychotherapy or any other of the thousands of tools that I talk about both in the book. Where's my book? I don't have it with me. Paths to Recovery After Abuse and Trauma, but also in all my other books and also everything that's available to you online and in person. Psychotherapy is amazing. The biochemical changes you can make in your body are absolutely amazing with food and exercise and sleep. And just to be able to say to yourself, you know what? I may not be able to do everything. I can't use all the tools in the Paths to Recovery. I can't use all the tools and Own Your Peace, but I can use some of them. And this is what the KISS method is all about. And the KISS method means keep interventions super successful. That means something different in engineering. It means keep it super simple, or keep it simple stupid, or keep it simple sweetheart. But I'm adopting it to mean keep interventions super successful. It means that I'm going to give you 100 intervention potentials, right, in a given moment. And if you take 3 or 5 of those and you practice them until you master them, that may be all you need. But let's say you get to a certain level, you get in cave number 1, tier number 1, and you say, I'm curious about tier number 2 and cave number 2 of inner peace or of recovery process, and I'm going to step into the next level, and I'm going to see if there are other exercises within those 100 that would move me now that I've mastered those 3 to 5. And mastery means I can use them anytime I want because they're mine. I've turned them and converted them into my own style. I know how to summons them. I know how to implement them. I know how to create what they create and go forward. And also it means that you may have tried 3 or 5 of them and found that 2 of them were just a waste. They had nothing to do with you. You got rid of them, and then you incorporated another 2. So you can throw those things that really you've given it a good effort, but it didn't work. But know that there are all these other tools to keep you moving forward. It's this commitment to evolving yourself, that when you're recovering from past, from trauma and abuse, you have this I am going to determination. I am going to recover. But then also I want you to be very well. You can move into the next cave of thriving, and the next of being ascendant, and the next into being transcendent. And so these transformational capacities are yours to have as you progress in whatever your pursuits are. And yet there are those of us that hear about the tools, but we don't actually take them to heart. We don't do the tools. So I'm going to suggest that in keep interventions super successful, the KISS method is that you take a few of the hundreds of tools that you know, and you work them until you feel like you own them, and you get rid of the ones that are a waste, and you work the ones that you own regularly, and then you go and experiment with a few others to add to it. And that addition allows you to have even more and more tools until you finally have the tools that really help you be able to create your own tools as you thrive and as you transform your life into an ascendant and transcendent experience. In this case, the transcendent and ascendant experience of peacefulness. So that's the KISS method. That's how the KISS method works. Keep interventions super successful. That's the whole key. Okay, so then now we're going to move into a parable that's in the book. It's if human newborns could walk at birth. If when you were born you could walk, like an elephant or a giraffe or cows, which walk very quickly after they're born. As humans, we might fall over banisters, run into traffic, topple down shelves on ourselves. It could be a real mess if the unthinking randomness of awkward infants could actually walk. But instead, the benevolent, soulful baby steps may prevent us from greater perils not yet appreciated. Baby steps of progress are valuable, and they're also unavoidable. And they provide safeguards, and they're helpful. So don't ever feel like taking the baby steps of what you can do today, this week, is not valuable to you, because it is. It's absolutely valuable to you. So if all you can do is create 20 seconds of an inner peaceful experience, that's 20 seconds more than you had before. And not only that, you're the one that used the tools and then created 20 seconds of inner peace. And that's really, really helpful. And then just to think about it, well, if I did this tool and that tool, maybe I could create 60 seconds of inner peace. The value of those 60 seconds for the well-being of your whole physiology, of your mind, of your sense of power, your sense of being able to feel the distinction between peaceful and completely distressed and upset. And then to practice it when you're feeling a little panicked and you say, well, I wonder if I could use that inner peaceful set of exercises, and you try and you find that your panic subsides faster, or that the horrific images in your mind go away because you've eclipsed them with this 60-second inner peaceful practice. And it's that kind of progress you really want to value. It's the baby steps of being able to one by one to say, yes, there it is, I sense it. It's that seed in the soil that I talk about in other courses. So here's the story of Lisa as we progress in our novel. While at Brazil's, Lisa drank whiskey shots each time her darts missed the bullseyes. Her aim and her brain got sloshed worse with each round until she crashed her face into the guacamole tray. Ty and Henry knew the routine well and escorted Lisa home at midnight, dumping her body without her shoes on her frayed couch. This was their routine. On the surface, all three seemed rather copacetic with these weekly Friday routines. Lisa, however, would waste the next 3 days recovering from huge headaches, routine vomiting, and embarrassment. She would hide in her bachelorette apartment and stare at television until work. Monday morning came too soon, and she'd struggle through the day until finally she'd sober up on Tuesday, only to start drinking on Thursday. Lisa needed Helena's infusion of joy, but from Friday through Monday morning, really Tuesday morning, Lisa isolated herself while recovering her senses. This was no way to live. She knew no better, though, because her mother had modeled these same patterns throughout her childhood. So now we have a hint that her childhood probably had some really traumatic and maybe even potentially abusive situations that she was perpetuating in her own patterns. And what I want you to realize is that we perpetuate patterns that we learned because we continue to practice them. And the idea of KISS method, keep it intervention super successful, is to start perpetuating practices of peacefulness or practices of happiness. So in the process of creating and discovering and then dwelling in peace, you take the Zen zones that we are offering on the meditations, the guided imageries, and the contemplations on the online course, and what we're doing in this class, we take them and we begin to practice them in order to interrupt the patterns that we are living in. Now the thing is that we have to wake up. We have to wake up to what we're doing, and we have to wake up that it's ours to recover. We have to recover. It's ours to create the inner peace. We have to take charge of that, which means we have to get used to the process of practicing. So here are a few practices of creating inner peace. You'll be surprised by some of them. Ready? Cry. Smile. Laugh. Frown. Then laugh. Do the yoga lion face. Release. Shout. Shout. And then yell. And then laugh. And then watch a sunset or a sunrise for just a moment. Stare at the stars or the satellites. Just ponder and wonder about the vastness of the universe and the cosmos. Listen to the crickets. Ponder what they're actually revealing about the temperature or about their relationships with each other. Mentally, just allow yourself to walk through nature like some of the guided imagery and the creative visualizations we're doing. Mentally walk through memories of peaceful moments that you've had. Mentally walk with persons of peacefulness. Mentally remember a meaningful, gentle, sensual kiss. A good one. Read poems, inspirational writing, or moving passages. Or write a few of your own. Another aspect that I want you to realize is that of grief and bereavement and sadness, because those actually can be precursors to inner peace because they allow you to have an authentic moment of, oh, that's so sad. And in the sadness that you just sustain, it isn't a depression that owns you, but the sadness you just sustain, there is a kind of peacefulness that exists. It's where there's humanity, and there's kindness, and there's hope, and maybe there's even a prayer. I will, many people ask me, how can you read the news several times a day? Well, doesn't it get you down? And the reason it doesn't get me down, most of the time, I would say I don't get down by it, even though it's been really awful, is that I go into a state of meditation, prayer, intervention, astral projection, remote viewing, remote influencing, and then I also do an act of randomness that is an act of proactive interventions or an act of kindness that will assist people that are being impacted by the news. I also do something else, which I look for the heroes in the story. And I think this probably comes from when I was a little kid. Mr. Rogers was on, and he would say that his mother told him to look for the heroes of the story. And so I'll read through the news, I'll look through the news, and I'll look through the heroes, or I'll listen to it, and I'll look through the heroes. And sometimes the hero is the newscaster who's bringing the story to my attention, or the truth about the situation to our attention, so the rest of us can actually do something. But more times than not, the news also includes someone who actually intervened, whether it was a police officer or a neighbor or a collective group of people or protesters. So the individuals that intervene, I am touched by their existence and that they actively did something. And because they were there, they actively did something that I would have wished that I would have done. And I honor that. And I find that those are ways that in the horrors of news, I reap the peaceful moments, and that the grief around people's grief, I can, in that grief, have a resonance and empathy. At 9/11, anytime I look at the clock and it's 911, and I've done this ever since 2001, I have one person in the 911 group who is a wife of one of those individuals who died. And I pray for her. I reach out to her in my heart, in my head. I visualize her, and she doesn't know that I do it for her. I know who she is. She doesn't know who I am. I don't really want to intervene in that. I just want to create what I consider a remote influencing moment for her. It also stills me to be more tentative to individuals going through horrible things that are in my own moment that I can be of assistance to in very hands-on sort of ways. I consider these peaceful moments as well. And what we discover is that individuals can do random acts of kindness. And in the random acts of kindness, they are extending an inner peace inside themselves to someone else. And this creates the bond and the link of a random act of kindness. Just because I don't talk about patience, and if I could, I just tell some amazing, wonderful stories, but I just don't. I have tremendous respect. So I use stories in my own life, or stories that people who are not patients or clients of my own when I'm permitted to. So there was this individual that is clearly starving and living unhappily on the streets, and yet he has his kind of domain outside of a Starbucks that I might go to on like once a month. I don't go there that often. And one day he was there and he asks for money, and I don't give money. So I just don't. But I will go get food. And so I went into the Starbucks, and I came out with a sandwich and a yogurt to hand to him along with a healthy drink, and he was gone. I felt so dismayed and despaired. I was like I had missed him. He had asked for one thing. I didn't give it to him, and he left. So I came back a month later, and I went back again, and he asked for money. And I went into the place, and I got some food, and I came out, and I gave it to him. And at first he was like snarly, like, because it wasn't money. It wasn't like what he wanted. I'm okay with that. I'm not going to give money if I don't know where someone's going to spend it. That just is my own thing. That isn't anybody else's rule. Then I went into another nearby store to finish a chore, and I came back, and I saw him eating the broccoli and the beef and the healthy juice, and his posture was different, and his energy was different. His skin looked better. He was actually sitting there kind of like taking a breath, looking around, looking a little content. And it's like it was a gift to me that I could see him having accepted it, but also knowing that his body was getting a lot more nutrition than if he had taken the money for alcohol. That somehow fit my value system and fit my way of helping the person. It was a gift to me that he did that. That helped me with my inner peace. And then I finished another chore. It was just a different store, and came out and he was gone. And just all day long, just thinking about him. And even while I'm telling you the story, I can't help but think that that's very similar to the woman that I had those thoughts about at 9/11. And just even the contemplation of that bereavement and sadness, it makes me connect to, one, what can I do in the moment? Small little things, big things. What can I do? What can I do that I can that I can do? I mean, that I am able to do, or that fits what I feel is worthwhile to do. What can I do in that moment? And in that contemplation, in that action, those are like meditations that in the sadness and the bereavement and the grief of it, because I resonate and empathize, I can also reap a moment of inner peace, a kind of sanctuary of contemplation, a kind of sanctuary of action as well. And I want you to consider that as another way of actually creating inner peace. I'm looking through this book for different sorts of suggestions about how you can capture inner peace. And I'm going to share one from, if you can see this here, when you get the book, you can. And for those of you following in the book, it's page 44. Jane Sibbett is just a beautiful gem of a soul. She's passionate, and she's political, and she's soulful, and she's spiritual, and she was an actress in Friends, and she still acts in many things. She's a beautiful, beautiful woman, a great mother, and a real great campaign for people's evolution. And she has discovered a way of helping people dance with their hands that awakens such sensations. It's this movement. It's just movement, the expressiveness of it. I know I look ridiculous on the video here. Just like, so now all of us, I want you guys just to move your hands. It's a very feminine sort of thing, right? It's a movement of the hands. And this is an act. And as you move, it's not too different than Qigong, which is the movement of energy and some sort of rituals, or Tai Chi, which is the movement and very specific movements of your body, or in exercise, or in any sorts of modern dance, but allows you in just the moment to create the creativity of the movement of your arms. And it is just such a simple way of actually kind of generating energy in your body and actually doing something that kind of makes you laugh because it looks silly and ridiculous, but it's just so easy to do. And it's that feeling of it. Now, what's interesting is if you're with a group of people and you just suddenly start moving your hands in a very gentle kind of dancing sort of way, you'll notice that they'll begin to follow. And as you're doing that, they actually begin to follow and with their eyes, and their bodies begin to move as well. And it's a way of doing a type of hypnosis. And Milton Erickson was a master of being able to use his hands. Now we know that EMDR moves the fingers like this. And we know that Mesmer and Freud would use a pendulum that went back and forth. They'd get a pendulum right now and show you. And that pendulum is like the swing. Or if you go to a playground and you swing back and forth, which I love to do, or if you have a rocker, the same sort of thing, or when you're raising a baby and you rock them and you feel that, or even yourself, if you find yourself rocking when you're in pain, that's really just rocking back and forth. That is so valuable, and it's movement. But I find the hands are really interesting, and you start using this when you're talking to people to just move them. And you'll find that in the process of doing that, you actually are causing them to connect with you differently as well as themselves. And you're actually impacting their neurological wiring, which is what EMDR has demonstrated to us, as well as the hypnotic techniques of Freud and Mesmer. So isn't that that's a simple process, right? Easier to teach. Okay, how many of you would like to hear? Okay, I don't care if you want to or not. We're going to talk about this. Is another parable. This is step into your castle of inner peace. Ready? Imagine, you can close your eyes, those of you in the room and those of you listening. Imagine a castle, your castle of inner peace. It is a grandly appealing, yet surrounded by high fortresses, walls, guards, and a wide alligator-filled moat. Or crocodile, whatever your choice is. Okay, you got that? Now the drawbridge and the grand doors are closed and they are guarded. The castle is not available. And you are on the other side of the moat. What is weird is that this is actually your castle. You're the queen and king of that castle, but you have no access to that castle. And that castle is the castle of your inner peace. Now, the guards know who you are, and all they need from you is a simple request. Hey, can you let me inside? Let me inside, sir. And because the guards know you, they'll put the drawbridge down and allow you to cross and open up the grand doors and allow you to come in. And they will keep you safe and protected, and the alligators and crocodiles can just snip their foods as they get them, and you are not touched. This is your castle of inner peace. However, the trick is that you have to learn how to, 1, ask to be let in, 2, walk across the drawbridge, 3, ask for the doors to be open, and 4, step inside the doors, 5, dwell in your castle of inner peace, 6, explore the castle of inner peace, and get to all the amazing ascendant and transcendent levels that the inner peace has to offer you. So Zen zones and many of the practices of creating inner peace help you cross over the alligators, past the fortress walls, and through the guarded doors. And the more you practice any Zen zones or practice creating inner peace experiences, the easier it is to shift from living outside your inner peace castle into visiting inside your castle. More and more often you do it on your own terms, to your own length of time, and in your own way. And eventually you easily access this castle even if you have been overwhelmed with threats or burdens outside your castle. So you are creating this inner peace castle. But the thing is, you have to remember to know that you can access it. No, it's there. 2, know that you're creating that castle, or that it's there to be discovered and explored. But know that the castle is there, either created or to be discovered, remodeled, expanded. But you also want to know that this castle is something you need to gain access to. And that's what the practices of creating inner peace is.